again. How's everybody doing? Hope this video finds you well. So we are back at Olympia National Park, and today we are going to talk about Rialto Beach. It is fairly close to Ruby Beach, it appears, and in doing some searching, it seems that they're kind of almost in competition with each other. Like, some people say Rialto is better, some people say Ruby is better. But in researching both beaches, I think it really depends on what exactly it is that you're looking for. What are your plans? Why are you at the beach? Because they offer different things. So where Ruby gave you a lot of smooth hiking, it was a black sandy beach. You could see, see for long distances. Rialto seems to be, it's a little more rocky. It's made, rather than being sand, it is a cobblestone beach. And there's a lot more foresting land around Rialto as well. It's a little more rocky, a lot more rocky. There is swimming at Ruby. There is no swimming at Rialto because the driftwood, large driftwood pieces come in and out, so there's a high risk of being crushed, being hit, and being injured and drowned by the driftwood. So if you're wanting to swim, you're going to want to go Ruby over Rialto. What Rialto has that Ruby does not have is sea stacks and tide pools. Now, I kind of sort of knew what a tide pool was, but not like entirely. So I did look that up. So I got to figure out where this is at. Give me just a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Birch. Hold on. I'll need one of these. And we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 blacks. I'm going to mark where this gray is, just so I don't go past it. So Rialto is known for its rocky shores, driftwood, sea stacks, and all the offshore islands that you can see. Now, I've seen sea stacks. I didn't know that's what they were called. So I kept seeing, sea stack, sea stack, sea stack. I'm like, okay, I looked it up and I'm like, oh, okay. So sea stacks are like rock formations that are standalone. They look like they're a sheared off piece of rock. And in essence, they are, because they're created from the erosion off of cliff sides. And so it erodes away and it leaves like this monolith of rocks standing up. Really cool formations. I've seen them in person. Like I said, I didn't know that's what they were called, but very cool. If I can figure out how to add pictures in CapCut, you will see some pictures of sea stacks in this video. If not, I encourage you to Google, look it up. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see a picture of it. In addition to the sea stacks and the islands that you can see from Rialto, Rialto also has a place that they call Hole in the Wall, which is home to tide pools that is teeming with various types of marine life. You can only get to, you can get to the hole in the wall at any time, but you can't get through the hole all the time. You need to really be aware of the tidal patterns that are going on, when low tide and when high tide is going to be, because if you go through the hole in the wall at low tide, but it's close enough to high tide, you may find yourself trapped on the other side of the hole. So keep that in mind. But to get through the hole in the wall, which is it literally is a hole and a wall of rock. So initially it looks like a cave, but it's a complete through pass. So when you go out the other side of the hole in the wall, it's a whole other second beach full of tide pools, which pretty cool. For those of you that don't know what a tide pool is, it's like isolated, like individualized bodies of water that are formed from depressions or divots in the earth, usually in rock, from what I am recalling from science class. Another big positive to Ruby over Rialto, Ruby is wheelchair accessible year-round. Rialto is only wheelchair accessible during the summer months, where a wooden path is no longer underwater and is accessible for wheelchairs. So keep that in mind also if you are disabled and you need the use of mobility equipment. Rialto is also just a short drive from Forks. It's kind of in the opposite direction so like one's north, one's south of Forks. The beaches, one is north, one is south. But again, if you're a Twilight fan, it's a good place to go. Go visit both beaches, and then hit Forks and hit the tourist trap that Forks, Washington turned out to be after the Twilight series was filmed. The one thing they did, they stressed on multiple sites was about the tides. There's maps, and they even offer classes on learning how to read tide maps, because they don't want you getting caught on the wrong side of the tide. They don't want you climbing a rock at low tide and then the tide coming in and you getting stuck on that cliff or on the other side of the tide pools, for example. So they stressed over and over and over again the importance of that, and like I said, being aware of the tide. Kind of a cool looking place. And it's funny because what they call driftwood. When I think of driftwood, I think of like little pieces of driftwood. And what this place actually gets is massive, like trees that float in. They're huge, which makes it completely understandable why you're not allowed to swim. You are allowed to surf there, which I thought was interesting. But I guess I would imagine, you have to get like way out past the break tide. But it did. It's kind of struck me funny that you can surf, but you can't swim. You kind of have to swim in order to be able to surf. But that being said, it is on the list of one of the best surfing sites in Washington State. So that was kind of cool. I'm not a surfer. Oh, and there's another color I don't have out. New color. Hot pink, 55, 51. It's probably this one. Nope. What color is 55, 51, I wonder? It's not black, obviously. It's not white. It's not the blue. It's not the light blue. It looks like another gray. Oh, it is the other gray. Okay. Ooh, those are close. My instructions are upside down. Now I do have to pay close attention to my time because I am on my last 35 minutes of this SD card, and then it's going to turn off on me. So keep an eye on that. Now I'm thinking, from my standpoint, where my health stands, I would feel safer hiking Ruby over Rialto, just because it's sand versus rock. But I would rather see Rialto. I would want to go see the hole in the wall. I would want to see the sea stacks. There's a place, they call it Split Rock, and it's literally two sea stacks that are like this. And during low tide, you can walk between them. I would want to do that, despite my health conditions, and the issues with my back and how much I really should be walking on rock. There is beach camping available, which is something that's not available at Ruby. But there's also Mora, Mora, campground that's right next door to the entrance to Rialto, that you could also camp at. And it's the same price as the campsite near Ruby. It's $24 to $48 a night, depending on the site you pick, the size of the site. Or beach. You can camp on the beach for $8 a night. Cool, but scary. Again, you would have to really, really know your tides. But I would imagine that they monitor it, and they're not going to allow you to camp anywhere near where you're going to get flooded out. Like, I'm sure they have designated camping zones. But I don't know, could be wrong. Really cool place though. Looks like a nice place to visit. And again, it is still part of the national park, so you do have to buy either the day pass for 30, 25, or 15, depending on how you enter, as well as, or, buy the season pass. If you live in Washington and you intend to go and visit um, national parks, different places, I would definitely just spend the $80 and do the interagency one, and then you don't have to worry about it, and that covers all the federal. And then if you want to do, like I said, if you wanted to do state parks also, you would have to buy the additional Discovery Pass, and those are good for an entire year. So it's not like you're spending that kind of money and that's only good for the weekend. So keep that in mind. Keep Washington in mind as a tourist spot, as a vacation spot. Um, come visit, come check out our national forest. Oops. Check my notes real quick and see if I missed anything. Oh, something I thought was interesting was while you do the beach camping, like I said, it's the $8 a night for beach camping, but you are required to carry and have a bear canister to keep the raccoons away from your food. I was like, huh. When I first read it, I thought bear spray, and I thought, well, that's weird. What does bear spray have to do with raccoons? And how is that going to protect your food while you're sleeping? And so, of course, that led me to Google, looking up a bear canister. And I'm like, ew. It's basic, it is exactly what it implies. It's a canister that's bear proof. And there are parts of the ONP, the Olympic National Park, where there are bears as well. So if you have to buy a bear canister because you want to go beach camping, the bear canister is not going to go to waste. Because if you go somewhere else in the park where there's bears present, you're going to need it. One thing I thought was interesting too is that even though Ruby and Rialto beaches are close together, they're actually in two different counties. So I thought that was kind of, because on the east side, our counties are big. But over on the west side, they're like, other than King County's huge. But King County is surrounded by all kinds of little counties. But I found it interesting that even though those two beaches are close together, they're in two different counties. But that's my own little bit of fascination, I guess. Oh, hiking. So Ruby, they said it was a 6-mile round trip, which again didn't make sense to me because it's 6 miles from one end to the other, but if you start at the trailhead, you're going 3 in, 3 out, 3 out, 3 in. It's 3 miles to each side. So yeah, the Rialto is 13.1 miles out and back. So half that, so you're 6.5 and some change, and then back. You can take, if you read the manual for Rialto Park, or Rialto Beach, it does say you can take, quote, handfuls of unoccupied shells. Handfuls of unoccupied shells with you. But it does note that rangers apply that same rule to other things, driftwood, rocks, sand, stuff of that nature. I really wonder though, because the there is a federal protection law that says you cannot remove any of that stuff from a national park. You face jail and you face fines. You're only allowed to take out what you put in. It's like the something American Protection Act, something like that. So I'm wondering how those two pieces of information coincide. Can you imagine? I just want a handful of sand, but I liked the unoccupied shells because it did note too that was one of the things it said on Ruby's information was, to make sure there was nothing living in whatever you were taking with you. I mean, not only would you not want the unwanted passenger, but chances are you're not going to be set up for it to thrive and survive and thrive in your care outside the environment of the beach. So, but yeah, watch for living creatures. And it's also, I mean, granted, you're in Washington, but most states it's actually illegal to transport captured animals across state lines. My kids can tell you a funny story. um, Watching the clock. We visited family in California one time, and my kids found this cutest little lizard, and we didn't know any better. We didn't know we were breaking the law, but they wanted to bring it home. So we got a little butter dish from my sister and like a little Rubbermaid, and we set up a little habitat for it for the transport home from California to our home in Washington. But I said we didn't know at that time, we didn't know when we were doing it that we were breaking the law. And nor did we realize that, again, same thing, we did not have the same climate. We realized we didn't have the same climate, just didn't realize that lizards were that fickle. And he wasn't able to survive in the Washington climate. And he passed away not too long after we got home from our trip. But it's kind of one of those things that my kids giggle about now as adults. It's like, we were lawbreakers. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder. Two. Ooze. This is the wrong blue. creamy color. Trying to get this at an angle so it's two whites. Two blacks. I started to be like, what song is this? It's a commercial. From a friend, heard it from another, you've been messing around. So as we're wrapping this up, please comment below if you could only go to one. Would you rather go to Ruby or would you rather go to Rialto? Just curious. And with these final two, I'm going to say, please hit that like button, subscribe, notification bell, and as always, please share out my channel to anybody that you think will enjoy my content. And we will talk to you again. Yeah, we'll talk to you in the next video.